Folks, it is now 8:15. I'll call this meeting to order. I see we have a packed house. And if anybody has a comment they would like to make unrelated to the budget that we're going to discuss today, please step forward and do so. None being seen. Scott, is there any changes to the agenda?
I don't have any changes. You might want to take a little time, if you have any time, to discuss the annual report dedication. I think more names are coming up.
Right. There was an additional name of Stanley Cross.
There might be some others, and Jess will compile the list for you, but you might want to discuss on who you think is leading the pack.
Okay.
Other than that, we're ready to go.
Very good. All right. So, Scott, why don't you kick this off for us?
And Jess Treese just stepped in. This is the FY27 budget meeting. I have sent you the justification memorandum, which is pretty self-sufficient. Last year, I think I read it into the minutes, but I'm not going to do that today. I think it's pretty straightforward. This is my 9th budget with the select board here.
We don't need that figure. Thank you. We don't. What you're saying, 11 is the magic number? No. So let me just set the stage a little bit. In your packet, you'll see the tax rate this year is moving from 0.5414, that was last year, or the present year. And we estimate it will move to 0.5586, which is 1.7 cents. This tax rate is estimate is based on today's grand list, but we expect the grand list to increase. The overall budget increase for this year is, as presented, is 7.53%. The total amount to be raised in taxes is 3.24%. You'll find a capital page towards the front of the packet, and you may pull that capital page out, set it to the side. We will refer to it as we work our way through the general and highway budgets department by department. That brings us to payroll. You'll see a payroll sheet in the front. We typically do a wage review at the time that we've completed the rest of the budget, just so you know how that works in my office. And a wage review includes evaluating compensation and benefits. This is published annually by the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. And my goal has always been here to meet or exceed the median or average wage rates of like positions. In addition, an evaluation of the job itself, the experience the individual brings to the job, including longevity, the job duties and tasks, and in some cases, it includes job enlargement. We look closely, especially most recently, in recruitment and retention, cost of living in the Wilmington area. Nobody has to tell you that the cost of living in this area is higher than most. And then we try to balance what we think is fair to the employee and to the taxpayers. So what you find in that payroll list is a 5% COLA overall. We've added raises, and the reason we added raises is we're trying to meet what we think is the median market rate for certain positions. Those positions this year are Marshall Dix, road superintendent. We raised him roughly about $10,000 in order to meet what we think is the median when we look at Southern Vermont and other like towns. The finance officer, we raised $10,000. She has 20 years of experience. Her job hasn't been enlarged with the addition of water and other various things that she does for me. She assists in preparation of the annual department budgets and reports. She assists all other department heads in terms of capital and their ongoing budgets. And of course, on bills she collects for sewer and water fees and so on and so forth. I don't have to tell you how central she is to my office and to the town. The fire chief we have raised him $10,000. He's been here 8 years full time and over 30 years as a volunteer firefighter. That these raises are in keeping with the COLA plus a little more for a raise. In addition to that, the police department has done a good job of trying to maintain a median amongst their peers. It's been very challenging. And when the chief talks about his budget, he can give you more of those challenges. And so for police officers and his corporal and his sergeant, we're asking for an increase of 8% overall. That's of course 5% COLA with a 3% raise. In addition to that, my administrative secretary, we're asking for an 8% increase. She's got more than 14 years here. She's worked with the police department and town hall as my administrative secretary or administrative assistant over the last 8+ years. And that is an 8% increase is what we're requesting. I don't believe I've missed anyone. Would you like us to move into the budget?
Let's do that.
Take it away, Christine.
So like Scott said, the total budget for the general fund and the highway this year is up 7.53%, which is actually less than the last 2 years. In fiscal year 26, we were up 10.48%, excuse me, 16.18%. And in 25, we were up 14.78%. So we are seeing some things level off, which is good. We have a surplus this year, thanks to a few different things last year. One was land sales. That was like our biggest thing. We took in, I think, over 200,000 for land sales, which really is helping us to do what we want to do with this budget this year. The amount to be raised this year is 3.24% over what it was last year. Last year was 10.48%, and the year before was 9.54%. So we are definitely seeing a downward trend. But this budget that we're presenting, actually, we're going to be able to accomplish some stuff largely in part due to that surplus that we have. So that's kind of my overview of it. And then I can jump right into department heads coming up, just kind of talking about their budgets. So I guess, Therese, you are first on the docket.
Morning, all.
Morning.
We're pretty steady with what we do. The difference will be, increase in the number of elections done through this next fiscal year, the way it always fluctuates. I think the biggest bump I might have is I have 2 copiers about the same age. One has come off its lease, so we went ahead and made the change on that one, and I've put off the second one, budgeting it into this next fiscal year before we make the change on that one. And they don't seem to want to sell them to you anymore. They want you to lease them.
Oh, really?
And I think probably because they can, well, they'll make some money on the other end when they pick it up, I suppose, but it's just to stay ahead of the age of the equipment, I guess.
We have less junk to get rid of that way, though, too. So.
Yeah. You heard the proposed 5% increase, folks. I increased my temp help a little bit. I think I did my math wrong last year, so I really sat down and made sure I had the right number of hours for her. And course, costs are rising, so binders and things that we require, paper, et cetera, for the preservation of everything is quite outrageous. We are staying ahead of it. Productivity continues with land records pretty well. We actually had an uptick in the online service this in October, was it? October, I think. I think we'll end slightly behind last year in terms of the number of deed exchanges, but paperwork itself into land records is still quite high and keeps us very busy. I think that's all I have. Questions?
Yeah, what can't you do online with your office?
What can't you do online?
You know, obviously, you have marriage certificates, you have dog
Right.
licenses. Can that be processed online anymore now, or do you have to?
Payment can be done online for those, and then we could mail out if someone wanted to do it that way, but no, that's all birth, death, and eventually marriage, I think, is all held, well, birth and death right now are held at the state level, and they want you only drawing from their coffers for that. So we make the money on it, and we have the certified paper to do it, but you have to request it from the state.
I learned recently that doctors have to use the portal, and they sometimes are challenged by the electronics of that technology.
Yeah, well,
Doctors also have to use fax machines, which I never quite got.
And courts are still using.
Unbelievable.
dogs we do locally, liquor we obviously do locally. You know, the processing.
It's a question that comes up that say, if I go there, can I get this? I have no idea. You're going to have to go to town.
Yeah, they can look up their deeds, their permits, you know, everything to do with their land records.
Okay.
The push is to just to bring zoning online too, so then that material will be available online as well. So
Okay.
homeowner could look up, you know, anything that's been done to their particular parcel over the years.
All right.
So everything we can do without having to redact half of it is done online. So.
Okay. All right. Questions? All right. Scott?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Therese.
Scott already talked about the treasurers, which is a one-line thing anyway. I don't have anything that goes with me. The assessors department, we have lowered that budget a little bit. I don't know if Sarah has anything that she really wants to add. Okay.
No, I don't really have anything to add. We actually dropped a couple things just because we saw we didn't need as much as we were putting into it.
Right, yeah, and I think we're still figuring out how it works with our contracted assessor, and of course, we had not this current year, but a year ago, we had just finished the statistical reappraisal, so the numbers are still adjusting to a non-appraisal year, and that's part of the reason that they're lower this year.
So one of our goals is to try to move Sarah into more work toward certification, which you don't actually need, but I think it's good to have it required. She's taking more courses, talking more with Russ, and of course, Russ is at an age which we don't know, when he might retire. And so it gives us a timeline since Sarah, I think, has decided that she really likes this work.
Have you decided that?
Yes.
That's
So
part of
yeah, I've been looking into what the courses are to take to start moving towards the assessor role.
Okay.
So
It's always good to have the certification.
I always like to look internally for promotions, and if people are bright enough, it makes sense if they're able to apply, what they learned to the job. And customer, in this particular case, customer relations is important, and Sarah has all those skills to do it. So we're hopefully going to be moving into that that area more once we get the training down. And we're going to be asking Russ to hand off a little bit more of the site work, I think. So this is a ongoing process, a couple of years, maybe a little longer.
Mhm.
And we'll see where we're at, but with the goal that perhaps Sarah will work into the assessor's position.
I have a question about that. Would you still be working for the town as the assessor,
Yes.
as an employee rather than a?
Right,
consultant?
yeah, we would move away from the contracted appraisal
Okay, thank you.
assessor.
That's very good to hear that. As you know, we don't have people lining up at the door to want to be an assessor.
Right.
Sarah has applied all her skills that she's learned along the way, including in the banking industry and customer relations in the hairstyling industry. We think she's very bright and can certainly do the work.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you. I thank you for coming back after your unfortunate accident.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think anything else. I was always coming back.
That's good.
So good, all right.
Thanks. The next section is the town manager section. There's basically salaries that we've already talked about in here, and then 2 lines that we're actually reducing this year. The computer support and equipment line. We have hired a outside vendor to handle all of our IT, and we were able to find somebody that does it at a less price than what we were originally anticipating. And so far, it's pretty good. We've made the transfer over to them. They've helped set up a lot of new computers and dealt with a lot of smaller issues, but they're making sure that we're getting backed up regularly. And there's many other things that I think over the next year or so that they'll be working with us to make sure that we are safe so that we don't have, dealing with scams, which happen. We get emails constantly for those. And so it didn't come in as high as we had anticipated, so we were able to lower that. And then we are dropping the admin select board training expense. More and more training is done through online, where you just do webinars. You don't have to travel, so there's not the mileage expenses or the lunch expenses. So that seems to be the trend now. There's just fewer in-person trainings. So the costs are down. So we were able to lower that as well. The cemetery commissioners are asking to keep their budget the same. They have been working on a lot of tree removal. I don't know if any of you have been to Riverview Cemetery, but there was a lot of large old maples that were starting to die and they've dropped some very large branches. So they've been working on removing those so that there's no damage up there. And they anticipate that to continue, plus the mowing that they do on an annual basis. If I'm going too fast, just holler if you have questions. Okay. The zoning department, we just hired Alex recently. I don't know if he's not in here. So he's met with us a little bit on the zoning budget. There's not a lot to it. Postage, mileage, advertising. So it's up a little bit just because of all of the costs over the last few years. So just more permits, more checking on people who are building and whatnot, creating more mileage, and of course, having to put into the newspaper all of the different things that they do for the department.
I have a question, please.
Okay.
Line 57.
Yeah.
HMGP grant.
Yep.
It looks like the actual expense was significantly higher than the budget amount for both 25 and 26. And then there's no budget for 27. What is that, please?
That's the hazard mitigation
Grant program, yeah.
grant program. It comes about it's not, excuse me, it's not an ongoing grant. It's just a short
This one
time.
is, I think, 5 years.
Yeah.
So there's a grant reimbursement on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, so we put it in because we know there's gonna be expense. We don't know what the expense is gonna be because we don't know how long. It's done through Wyndham Regional. I think they do the whole,
Well, sometimes we hired a consultant for the
Okay.
local hazard mitigation plan. It's sitting in Vermont Emergency Management and FEMA right now for their review. And there's always a match that goes with it, but we have fully complied with everything we're supposed to do. So we have been reimbursed on a regular basis. So what you don't see is you don't see the reimbursements right now.
Okay.
Also, town plan would be involved in some of that, I think, or is there another line for town plan?
it might be in there too. I
Okay,
can't remember.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, that's why it's overspent on the lines and not there this year because it's finished
and town plan consulting is with Wyndham Regional.
and we get reimbursed. So that's the
Okay.
revenue side.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, on to the police department.
Morning.
Weren't you?
Have a lot of big changes to my budget. The sworn payroll has been kind of a can that we kick down the road time and time again. Just to give you an idea of where we're at, with this increase of 8% for sworn officers, it puts us at 38% behind what the largest state employer is hiring for our job classification right now, or 39%. So that's a considerable gap that we are behind in pay rates. Unfortunately, Vermont is very portable in the police world. Our certification is statewide, our retirement is statewide, and that makes it easy for officers to be mobile, to seek employment with other agencies throughout the state. This will bump our starting pay to $62,400 roughly. Give you an idea of what that looks like for state police at 1 year. That'll be out of the academy pretty much, is about 90,097. So same academy, same training, same certification.
It bumps you from 6,400 to 67,392.
Which
That's what our starting is the 67.
Is it 67?
In comparison to that.
At $32.40 an hour.
Okay.
well, but we would actually start at 30, I believe, as well. With
All right.
32 at the end of the first year.
It's all right, you're budgeted for
Yeah.
that movement because you're challenged with, what'd you say the state police start at now?
They are at the academy, 86,607. 1 year is 90,097. That's with no experience, no college degree. With experience, it's 93,225. So it presents some real competition. People are mobile, people move. I think overall, if I did my numbers right, my budget is about just shy of 5% increase over last year. So that 8% in the sworn payroll, we were able to find some money in the personnel costs and some other cost savings to offset that. So the overall impact to the police budget was still around 5% this year. Moving on, we looked at,
Yeah, real quick, how are the other departments, I mean, municipal departments reacting to having to compete with what the state is starting your folks at? That's a huge gap.
and we find that areas like Chittenden County, Washington County, they are far more competitive than we are down here.
Even Windsor.
in Windsor. They're, you know, they have progressively had to move this pay rate in order to be competitive. You know,
Well, in the past 3 years, we have too.
We have,
increased
yeah.
it substantially. I mean, from what it has been. But when you run in, and I did run into that thing with the state troopers there with no experience, whenever starting at 85, how the hell are we supposed to compete with that?
I don't know.
Just amazing.
Yeah, these are great questions for the state reps who write the state budget.
Yeah, and again, we're just chasing the median. That's really what we're trying to do, keep our head above
Right,
water.
and I'm not suggesting that we need to be at those pay rates. I'm just pointing out why we're trying to make these adjustments. You know, state positions have their own benefit packages and they have their own pay rates that, you know, are becoming out of reach for municipalities and to be competitive. And, you know, it's kind of shocking that, you know, the state of Vermont, which should support municipalities and provide resources, is our main competitor for qualified staff.
The state police make no bones about that either. I've been up to the academy, looked at the poaching or attempts at poaching. And
Yeah. Yeah, so they, you know, they have a $5,000 sign-on bonus and they offer a headhunting reward too for their staff. So if they can go out and get officers from other agencies to join, those officers get a bonus. So it's very competitive. But I don't know. I don't know how to even have these conversations in the future. If that continues at that rate, you know, what do we look at for a budget for our sworn payroll? It will be substantial. So that's where we ended up with that. I really appreciate the help working on that. I mean, that brings us, you know, quite a big step because it goes from about 56,000 where we're at now, 56,160 to 62 to 67 by the end of their first year. And that makes us competitive. But yeah, so it's a help. We have one full-time position open. I was hoping that goal was to have it staffed by the new year. Hasn't worked out. It's difficult. I mean, we get the number of qualified applicants we get that actually make it through testing and polygraph. And as soon as they get that polygraph done, they are very marketable because they can pretty much walk on anybody's team in Vermont, take a position. And
So remember, we just hired
found.
a retired trooper and
Officer
young
Herzig.
officer out of Caston University or
And
Vermont University.
we
Caston.
were lucky to bring on Officer Ian Gonzalez, who lives in Dover. He's full-time certified, but he works for us part-time. So that will be some help as well till we can get that full-time position. But we staff for the minimum. So we have a staff of 7 full-time officers and we cover 24/7. And it's really that metric, which is difficult. It's really the staffing. When you factor in training, sick time, vacation, things like that, those are a lot of hours to try and fill 52 weeks out of the year. And of course, everybody wants their holidays and weekends off, and we can't do that in our business because that's Wilmington's busiest times. And that's all hands on deck pretty much for us. So brings me to my dispatch line. There were no more questions on that. Dispatch, we had one of our dispatchers go out on short-term disability, left us, and we were very glad to have them back. But during that time, we realized, especially being shorthanded, how difficult that was, officers having to respond back to the office to handle complaints in the lobby, to give out information, things like that. So we had the idea that having a backup or a part-time dispatcher per diem, so no guaranteed hours, but to have somebody in training and who could come in, pick up some of those absences, leave and sick time, training times for dispatch. especially while we're short officers would be, really a critical piece for us. Not a big part of the budget change for that. I think it's figured about $8,000 for the year into that. It really is just, to train them up, give them a few weeks where they could fill in. And with the difficulties of finding and hiring another officer, I'm not even sure I'll be able to tackle that in the short term, but our goal would be to try and bring somebody up.
We could poach someone part-time maybe.
Yeah, somebody
Train.
might be interested in getting their foot in the door too, get the training and certifications, and so it might work out well. In our part-time dispatch, there is a 5% COLA, and we are adjusting their weekend shift differential. Currently is at 50 cents an hour for weekend time. They get as a weekend differential, that will be $2 an hour in this budget. That state police is anywhere from, for their dispatch, is $3 something to $5.25 an hour additional for weekend hours. So this there's a little more incentive because they give up their weekend times to work. Minor change to cruiser operation and maintenance. I think everybody knows it gets any repairs done right now that the costs just with inflation just continue to grow. Plus, we do have a couple older cars, so that as cars get older, they require a little more maintenance. So we adjust that line to try and catch our prediction on what those repairs and maintenance costs will be. Otherwise, there wasn't anything else. Yeah, so our cost of our vests went up, which is our body on it. We look at every 5 years to replace our vests. Sometimes we're a little longer on those cycles, but the manufacturers really warranty them for 5 years. But the cost of vests have gone up. I think we're just about $1,300 for a vest now, whereas used to be $900 before. That was about $750. We get about 45% through a federal grant to help cover. So we get about 45% back.
I think didn't it used to be 50%? It just hasn't gone up.
Yeah, there's a cap on it per cost of the vest. So you can only recover so much money towards the vest. So as the vests continue to increase in price, the grant has been stagnant. So it covers a little smaller percentage.
Yeah, and this was Senator Leahy's baby when he was.
So it's still alive and strong, the program. Yep, still going.
Program is still going.
It is, yeah.
Phil and Leahy's name.
Still funded, yep. Yeah. Good program.
All right, questions? Concerns? Being seen?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Public safety facility, most of that is the same. There's the biggest one is the building maintenance part of it. There's a garden. We have somebody who maintains the garden, and of course we have a service that cleans the building, and those seem to be the biggest driving costs for that. Probably in the future, we may think about breaking the line out a little bit more, but haven't gotten to that point yet. There is a little bit of actual building maintenance too. I know there's a few small things that have been happening that have to be fixed. So something to think about in the future anyway. The old firehouse, that one's pretty much the same. Just a few things that are a little bit higher this year because of costs going up in general. And fire department. Chief Moore, you want to come up?
Trick question.
Chief Moore, come on down.
I mean, yours is pretty straightforward, I
Pretty
think, too.
straightforward, yeah. Yeah, I cut a few things, because we got the new radios. I cut our radio budget in half. Because we don't have that many fires anymore, unless it's mutual aid.
Does that mean you have less calls?
No, actually, we are at record calls this year, 260, where record was 200 or 100 and probably 70 when I first became chief. We're at 260 calls right now and climbing. So no, and most of them are alarms. I mean, like out of that 260, probably 70 calls are alarms.
You get alarms, you get crashes.
Motor vehicle accidents, mainly. Mutual aid, a lot of mutual aid fires. Knock on wood. We have had no structure fires here in the town of Wilmington this year, so, which is fantastic. So yeah, a few things we went up on. Nothing dramatic.
I think the biggest changes is the assessment for Wilmington and the
Yeah.
assessment for Searsburg from
So-
Keene Mutual Aid.
So that is our biggest dilemma right now. Dispatch keeps going up. And it doesn't get any better. We haven't got the bill yet. It should be anytime this week. I haven't looked at it. I've talked to other departments that have gotten their bill, and it was quite an increase. So, being that we still have the Deerfield Valley Mutual Aid System, which is the surrounding towns, and we still have meetings, but we're gonna discuss maybe holding off our payment until we can get something out of this dispatch. You know, we call and ask questions, and the only thing we get is we're working on it. And communications have been very poor, very poor.
Did you tell me there was a change in leadership?
There's a big change in leadership completely over there. So, you know, they don't give you straight answers. They just give you, we're working on it. They don't tell us what you're working on. Yeah, it's pretty discouraging. So we may be getting together as a Deerfield Valley Mutual Aid System and holding off our payment until we kind of hold them hostage until we get some action. If not, we'll consider something else. But I know it's gone up significantly for a lot of, even New Hampshire departments have been complaining about the prices that they've been paying this year. Like I said, I haven't got our bill yet. I'll let you know. Other than that, I think we've done pretty good. Still have 30 people on the roster. Probably 16 active. We got some great officers that have done really well. But other than that, I think we've done pretty good with the budget as far as cutting some things. Our truck maintenance will probably be a little more expensive. Our code compliance, we raised because we have to have our SCBA compressor and things tested every year, the breathing air, and to stay with the code. So we had to raise that a little bit. It's pretty expensive to have that tested every year. So we raised that. Other than that, I think we've done pretty well.
Who's doing your work now that Dave's retired? Dave Briggs. Or do you have to take it to a service center?
Yeah, Twin State.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like pretty near triple
Yeah.
of what Dave could charge. So, yeah.
No other local options in that regard?
Yeah, actually been thinking about, a lot of the minor stuff I take to Fuller's. So, other than that, we keep it as local as we can. They did offer to do all our maintenance for us. Fuller's did, as far as oil changes and greasing and things like that. It's not like Marshall where them trucks are out daily. So they don't need a huge amount of maintenance. So, but they probably can handle that, and I trust them. Capital?
Yeah, you want to talk about capital?
Yeah, we can talk about capital. Our capital budget, we have a 2001 International fire engine. We decided that we're going to keep that a bit longer. There's nothing wrong with the truck. It's got 14,000 miles on it. It passes all its certifications every year. It's pump testing and everything. So we're going to hold on to that a little bit longer. Whether that's a wise idea or not, I don't know, because just the cabin chassis now for a custom cabin chassis is either 500,000 to 750,000, and that's cabin chassis. That's not the engine. If we go with a custom cab, so it's crazy. So I would like to hold on to this truck until I retire, so I don't have to worry about it.
I don't think that's gonna work.
Depends on when he retires, I
Yeah.
guess.
If he goes tomorrow, we'll finish.
Yeah.
And he's not going to.
That's what I would hope.
So like I said, we've done pretty well. We got the grant for the SCBA's. I believe we did. I'm waiting for FEMA to get moving again. It's funny how a shutdown can slow down. So
But you were notified, right?
yes, yeah. So that's a big savings for us, and it's something that we absolutely need. So, other than that, I think we've done pretty well. Questions?
Done? Scott, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
The Green Mountain Beach, really the only thing here is just the Lake Raponda Dam, which is an ongoing thing. We kept the 10,000 in here to continue with engineering work for it. We do have money set aside in the capital that we are putting in under the public lands and fences for the dam. We are raising that up this year to start to actually build for the construction of the actual dam, or fixing the actual dam, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to say anything more to that, or.
Looking at what highway pays for bridges and what the initial estimate we got, which I think estimates these days are a little bit unreliable until you go out to bid. So I'm trying to put in enough money to get us in that direction. Now, I doubt we're going to have enough with just this this entry of $150,000 appropriation. We'll probably have to go one more year to get the final amount. I just didn't want to put it all in all at once in 1 year. I think we're going, because I think we're safe with the dam, but it is a required element to have it repaired, both by our insurance company and by the state. So I think it's going to be more in the neighborhood of over 300,000, but this gets us in that direction. and I think gets the taxpayers used to the fact that we're going to have to raise that a little bit more. We're also doing more work down in the park. Marshall and his team have done a great job, I think, expanding the park to its appropriate footprint, and we're going to do more work down there. We also did work along the bank in terms of mediating the river and making it more resilient. We did some plantings. We probably have to do some more plantings. If we can't find a grant to do more down there, we'll take it from lands and fences. Those are probably the two biggest pieces right now that we're looking at. Green Mountain Beach is another one where we have a grant, but remember that grant is only going to pay for about 50% or a little bit less. And if we want to do the entire project, we'll have to come up with some more money for that as well. That may be lands and fences, but it also may be 1% local option tax because that is used by the entire community. So that's my plan.
Any plan or estimate as to when they want to do when the town wants to replace that dam?
It's not replacement. We're not replacing it. We're just, I would call it fortifying it, I think.
And that's going to satisfy the state?
Yes.
That will. Okay.
Yes. So remember our engineers are MSK from Bennington,
Right.
and they are working with the state. And the next step will be once the state accepts the latest negotiated development, I guess I would call it, we'll be ready for them to draft some RFP documents. We would go out to bid and see what that price looks like in terms of doing all the work that is required. Once the work is done, I'm told you should be good for 50 years. It'll outlast me.
50 years, yeah.
Remember, they've changed, they've moved the goalposts. Used to be we were readying for a 100-year storm. Now they're calling it a 1,000-year storm, which means everything has to be fortified more. But when I
It's
first
almost heavy tides on
when I first talked to the inspectors a number of years ago, and Tom, I think you were with me,
Oh, yeah.
they thought it looked fine for the time being, but they've changed rapidly since I think the storms of the last few years and nationally. So standards are increasing.
All right. Insurance, we have not received our new bill for the calendar year 2026 as of yet. So I am just putting in a estimate in here of 6%. It's roughly, I think, what we ended up with last year. So that's what I have for now for the insurances, and maybe those will change, maybe not. We'll
When
see.
does this renew? The first?
Yeah,
Okay.
January 1st.
And you don't have a bill yet?
No,
Okay.
yeah, kind of odd, especially it's, all the things in the insurance world.
Well, yeah, that's why it concerns you.
Yeah. So, hopefully it won't have to be changed. Hopefully I've got enough in there and we'll be good. And of course, it's like the health insurance where we're dealing with a full calendar year, but it's half of the fiscal year. So you're guessing at the second half of the fiscal year anyway. The health and social services, I believe you've heard from some of these that we're requesting additional funding. The Vermont Bar Association, Safe Place, and Rescue all had asked for increases. I just made a notation here that we probably need to decide at some point if we want to have all of those be separate articles on the warning when we do the warning in January. But those are the only increases on the social services, thankfully, this year, because the social service budget is very high already. Employee benefits.
Can I just ask, does the board have a sense on whether we would apply those to an article? Because we need to notify them if they have to go out for petition. That's my only point on that. So you're talking Vermont Bar Association, Rescue, and Safe Place. We would put those on as an article if you so choose.
thoughts, folks? No?
We did that last year.
Yes, rescue, and I know it would be supported, but I think we should put that on, that's $10,000. I think we would put an article on that, yes. Same with the Bar Association. I still having a problem where they just showed up out of nowhere here a year or so ago and are already asking for an increase, plus the fact that they feel that they weren't paid last year. Is that true? I mean, how do they work this? Do they bill you for that?
Yeah, they send us a letter and then we pay them, and
Okay.
I mean, we have it in here that it was paid, so
Yeah,
either.
that's, I thought maybe our
I
accounting
would
was
say their
good
records are
and
good.
their
'Cause,
accounting
yeah,
was off, but I,
because that's not an outstanding check.
The extra money might not find the checks.
There you go. Maybe it's hidden under somebody's.
but yeah,
desk.
that would generate an article to make the legal.
So you want us just to draft articles?
I would want an
Okay.
article on
All right.
that, yes.
Thank you.
Can I just ask you a quick question on that? So on some of these, the organizations just come before the board and ask, so why are these being placed as separate articles then?
They're asking for increases.
They're not asking for the same amount like all of the rest. They are actually asking for their amounts to be increased this year.
So if
Okay,
there's an
but we've
increase,
had people come during the year and ask for additional funding that we have approved, not so much a town meeting day. Is that not correct?
Not,
From-
not,
From 1%, John. That's
yeah, from 1%, but not
Okay.
from taxpayer dollars. That's the
Gotcha.
difference.
Okay, that's what I want to know. All right, thank you.
so anytime, so it's been our practice recently that anytime someone's asking for an increase on the social services, that we put it before the voters.
And the article lays out that it's an increase, so they're voting on the increase essentially, and they can change that. But the article states that it's an increase from X amount to the new amount.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So people are aware that it's not new, they're just asking for additional funding.
Insurances? Oh, benefits, I'm sorry. Employee
Benefits, yeah. So employee benefits, we had already talked about the healthcare. So that's in here as, what we had voted for that. The retirement is going up a little bit every year. VEMR's is, increasing the employer and the employee portion that they pay. I want to say it's like 0.25%. And that's really the only things that are changing. Groundskeeper, we have kept this in here because even though Roland is not working for us, our hope before we lost our building maintenance and transfer station person was that they would actually be able to help us with some of the things that need to be done that Roland used to do, but they might end up having to be at overtime hours to do that groundskeeper work. So
It's kind of like the Disney pickup, I call it, around town and things like that.
Yeah.
That have gone by the wayside, which always, made the retail area look really nice and the village area look really nice and
right.
some other odds and ends that you don't realize somebody's doing until they're
Yeah.
no longer doing it. So.
Yeah.
And so Roland's not coming back, I take it.
I don't think so at
Okay,
this point.
all
No, I know he's, last time I talked with him, he was still having some health issues.
all right.
So,
I mean, that's the other reason we kept it open, because we're giving him some time, but it doesn't appear that he's returning.
I have a question, please.
Mhm.
On line 178, childcare tax,
yeah,
is that a payroll function?
yes.
And why isn't is that like in with the payroll now, or?
Yes.
This is
So
an
this
employer
is,
contribution.
this is the, that
The
new
new-
tax that just started a couple
Yeah.
of years ago, that's I want to say 0.44%. On every dollar that's paid to employees.
I just don't understand necessarily why it's here and not more associated with payroll taxes.
Well,
Employer contribution payroll taxes.
this has our social security too. On the previous page,
Okay.
employee benefits does have social security. So
Yeah.
that's why it's here.
Okay, Thank you.
because those are the only,
The only ones we're responsible for.
yeah.
This is the tax that the state pushed directly to the
Oh, yeah,
local government.
Yeah.
and employers elsewhere.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry,
everybody,
yes.
yeah.
you're right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Transfer station.
Marshall, you're up. Marshall and Jess.
I was gonna say, I will speak to the first line, the operator building maintenance. So this line looks like it's a large increase, but it's really not. When we had Brandon working for full-time and doing transfer station and building maintenance, it was all in this one line, but then we had moved to a part-time transfer station person and Brandon doing building maintenance and water. We're now moving back to having a person who is doing full-time with the transfer station and building maintenance. So that's why this line looks like it's a large increase, but it's really just going back to where we were a couple of years ago with one person doing the whole job and not being just transfer station.
You want to speak to you want to start by speaking to staffing? Marshall, there?
Speaking staffing, as far as we, most of you probably know, we lost Peter, went to the town of Dover. And starting hopefully Monday, we just hired a new person for building grounds and transfer station. Seems like a very nice guy. He's an older gentleman, was in business for himself for around 30 years. Retired a little bit, don't like retirement, wanted a job that he can come to, as he puts it, he wants to come to work, do his job and go home. He don't want to chase the customers later at night. He's been very prompt, communicating, did a lot of background checking on him, very nice guy. Everybody gave him great reviews. So he starts on Monday.
Monday. Yep.
Yeah, so that's that. In the meantime, the highway department's been filling in, and even though Peter left out of good faith and not leaving us hanging, he has been working. He's worked 3 Sundays since he's left. Every Sunday since he's left, he's worked still. He's working. This will be his last Sunday that he works, but he is willing to fill in if he needs to at another time. Was very good and helpful because he didn't want to cut the string or whatever. Maybe you never know what happens down the road.
Yep. And we very much appreciated that. Yes.
So no real big changes in cost. I guess the biggest one is disposal and containers. Rest of the transfer stations, I'll call it minor. Not big, great cost differences.
What's the line 185 post closures?
Post closure?
Yeah, 185.
That was our last, we had to have engineers. So you could see it went down quite a bit because we had engineers working on a document for the state that actually takes care of most of that. I think it's like it might be a 10-year type of thing that we have to do. But in addition to that, we're looking at something that I've referred to at our regular select board meetings as a NOS, which Marshall actually talked to the engineer about that. You know a little bit more about that than I do.
It's some new permit the state implemented. They want to know, it's all about stormwater. Everything's about water nowadays. So we had an engineer come up to see if we needed to have a full thing where they inspected once a month, or if we can, it's a no, I can't.
Yeah, I have to look. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Basically, he come up and did an inspection. He likes what we've done up there. And with a little bit of tweaking of, the only thing that made him nervous is because we have the backhoe up there and we put fuel in the backhoe. that was gonna cause us to have a monthly inspection unless we can fuel it up inside the building. So we can put it in the metal building up
That
there.
has to be covered.
It has to be covered. It's gotta be under roof while you put fuel in it.
Yeah.
I asked him if I could just drive it out in the road and fill it out in the road. We have the metal building there.
He rolled his eyes, didn't he? Yeah.
Long as we tell him that we put it inside the building when we're filling it up, this will come up in 5 more years. It's a non-exposure out. It's just about water runoff. Our grading's good up there because we have our compactors covered. They don't consider the demo or the scrap metal hazardous, so that's okay that water runs into them. But if we had open top trash dumpsters, that would have caused us, so we had to have a monthly inspection, and it would have been lots more paperwork. Our engineer says now that this is every 5 years we'll have to renew this permit. He'll have to come look and make sure nothing's changed, and they'll be done. He's made our life a lot easier, I hope.
So this is KAS Engineering out of Williston, and they did all of our closure work for the landfill going way back, and we continue to contract with them.
I think the only thing too is the capital. You were thinking about getting a container
Oh, that's,
For the-
we want to do capital now? I didn't even.
for the refrigerator type stuff, because I think that had to do with this as well, right?
Oh, he decided that's not a problem.
Oh, okay.
So there is a capital, and I guess I didn't
So we're
even.
talking about making an enclosure specifically for equipment and maybe police use?
Yeah, so to make things a little easier, and it would be nicer if tobacco was kept under cover, we talked maybe a little bit about making a lean-to off our metal building. It wouldn't be closed in, and it would give the police chief a place to put some of his stuff undercover. He says it don't need to be clean, enclosed, but his boat and stuff, so when it's raining, it's not raining inside it. Snowmobiles, I mean, right now he puts the snowmobiles in our metal building, which is totally fine in the summer, but this way he can cover it when they're not using it. So it'd be something the highway did. So we do have a capital that I guess I didn't see here for some reason.
Well, it's the separate.
Yeah, it should be in the last.
So the increase under the transfer, so the pullout for capital is the transfer station capital. We've been putting $5,000 in there and utilizing it for different things that come up. The current balance is about 28,000, and we would add 5,000 that will cover some of those. So some of the work that we've done up there is to create additional, I don't know, what do you call it? Roof
Yeah, we put
structures.
roofs over the dumpsters, keep
Yep.
the snow out of the way, keep the weight out of the dumpsters. Made some improvements inside. We put a little more insulation to help with heating that nice cement box.
And if there's any major repairs for the older equipment up there too.
Yeah. Back was in 1985, so that's why we left it where it is. Any other questions on the transfer station?
Thank you, Marshall.
See you soon.
The transfer station is something that Marshall inherited when I promoted him, and so that is another one of those job enlargements that he is responsible for, and I really appreciate it. Legal?
Legal, professional, and audit. The only thing here is the audit. This is our the year that we are in currently. When they do the audit for this year we're in, that will be the last one with our contract for them. So we will be needing to decide in another year if we go out to bid again, or if we see if we can just keep Sullivan and Powers possibly. Trying to find an auditor is extremely difficult. When we went out to bid, Sullivan and Powers was the only one that did bid on our audit, even though we sent it to, I think, about 30 different audit firms. a lot of towns have been having a lot of trouble finding an auditor, especially with all the flooding and stuff. There were many towns that had to get single audits because of all of the federal funding that they got for the flooding. So it is difficult to find auditors right now, between them retiring and just the amount of work that's needed. So just something to keep in the back of your minds going forward. Memorial Hall.
We'll do the library.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Carolyn isn't able to make it.
Oh, okay. So the library, they are asking for a very modest increase in your packet. There is their budget that they have proposed. I don't remember where I put it. It's the only
it's
one
the
that,
big font.
yeah, I was gonna say, it's the
big
only
font.
one that goes the opposite direction. They're really not asking for much of an increase for anything. I know they had a few things, but I don't remember anything big, and the amount that they're asking for is really minimal. So
2%.
yeah.
They locked down a new executive director yet? Or
A new librarian.
Library, head librarian?
They from my understanding, what they're doing is they have like two people who are working part-time that are splitting the duties. And I think that was their anticipation that it would go forward. They're hoping that the one that's kind of the head person, but who only wants to work part-time, will continue. She was doing it on an interim basis, I think, just trying to see if she liked it, and they're anticipating that she will continue forward. So hopefully they've got that stable again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, now Memorial Hall. Those one-liners sometimes. So Memorial Hall, we don't have a whole lot that's changing in the general fund budget, just for the regular line items. The biggest thing I think is probably going to be the capital. We are proposing to put $100,000 into the Memorial Hall Capital Fund this year. As you know, there's a lot of projects over there that need to be done. The biggest one is probably the siding.
So we have,
That's more than me.
just to remind you, we have 2 grants working on the building over there right now. One is for floodproofing and the other is for energy, and ADA improvements. So you'll start to see the windows being taken out, boarded up, and replaced between now and July. And throughout the winter, we anticipate the biggest windows will be taken out, worked at their shop, and then brought back and replaced, along with storm windows. So once those projects, since they're underway, painting, the next step would be painting, and I have an estimate of about $22,000 to paint all the white on the building. And that I believe should be done before we get into the siding. The siding is, I think Vince has taken a walk around. I know Christine has, I know Marshall has. It's really looking sad and brittle. We don't know what we're going to find. Once we start taking all that off and replacing it, we'll go out to bid at some point. And currently we're recommending $100,000. That will bring us up to about $253,000, but some of that is already we need for matches or cost increases on the current projects that are over there right now. That is not going to pay for everything. The estimate I have for the siding is really in the $300,000 range. Everything seems to be around the $300,000 range. But what my plan is once we had a bid for the actual siding, which I'm not sure if that's going to be this year or next year, we would come back and ask the select board to take a look at the bid and take a look at the 1% local option tax, since that is purely a community asset and probably should be supported by downtown 1% local option tax dollars. So that's the reason it's I think a modest amount to try to bump that up. In my view, I think there's also probably inside work that we'll have to do once we get the exterior brought back to its original luster. And the interior, then we're talking about floors and walls and things of that nature that we'll have to have examined. I think we're in the $400,000 to $500,000 range, in my opinion.
Memorial Hall's a weird one for me. So when the committee does a fundraiser
What committee?
performance, isn't there a Memorial Hall committee?
No,
There's Friends of Memorial Hall.
Friends of
but they're
Memorial Hall,
their
sorry,
own-
not a
they're-
town affiliated committee.
Correct.
right.
But when they do a fundraiser for Memorial Hall,
They don't. They do. They
They
raise.
they do events.
They raise funds for events.
And they use that money to get more events.
okay.
So there's a cadre of events. Jessica probably can speak to it better than I can because she schedules for everybody. But there's a cadre of regular events. And then Friends of Memorial Hall used to do more music. You know, they would bring in cover bands and things of that nature throughout the summer and fall. And that fell by the wayside through COVID, and they're trying to pick that back up now. Do you want to say anything, Jessica, about that?
Yeah, so the Friends of Memorial Hall board is restructuring. They basically had to start over. They lost a bunch of members, and they are trying to get a handful of events this year, but their events just fund their events, their next event. That it doesn't come back to the town. They're some type of 501c3. It's not a town affiliated anything. So all of the money they raise, you know, they pay for their bands, they pay for their bartenders, and any money left over they use to pay for their next event. So we don't really get any money out of Friends of Memorial Hall. It's not the way I guess you could say affiliation works.
So the Crafts Inn and Memorial Hall were built roughly about the same time in 1902, and the town decided to purchase the Memorial Hall around 1921. I believe they purchased it for, what was it, $43,000?
You were here. Thank you.
And in today's dollars, that was probably a bargain. But we, of course, because it belongs to the town, we need to keep it up, and it's appropriate to keep all of our buildings in good shape. And I think it reflects on our image and the fact that once things look better, it usually attracts more interest. So.
And we have in the past had committees that oversaw Memorial Hall for the town. Okay, they were part of the town, but it just didn't last. It fell apart. So a lot of the performers and whatever wanted to use it, so they pushed them in this year to use it. It has become a money pit, absolute money pit.
It is historic.
Historic
money
pit.
pit.
A lot of money is going to have to be invested here, and it's all in a floodplain, and that's things you got to take into consideration.
Maybe it's time to change.
Let's sell it.
Maybe it's time to make a change.
I would love, and I had mentioned it, I think at one point, at a meeting, to selling.
Actual person to operate the.
Well, I would rather not own it.
But John, you probably can't hear Therese. She said maybe there's an opportunity for a change and actually hire somebody to run the building. It's seasonal.
Yeah, no, I did hear that. Yeah.
We did. Okay, good. Good.
How about the town clerk?
The town clerk's office. There we go. I like that idea. We could delegate. Yeah.
We are bringing eyeballs this next year, with the 250th anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you using the hall at that point?
Historic building will be part of it.
Okay. All right.
As much as I can, do the theater productions over July 4th weekend in Wales, and later the different players will actually do 76 for us next year. Have the rights to the musical. So, yes, I have the schedule for Memorial Hall, and I'm hoping to get in there as much as we
Okay.
can.
Sorry, Scotty, I had to throw that in. That's all.
Planning Commission, pretty
Planning
much.
Commission, yeah, pretty much the same. Municipal planning grant. I believe that's your town plan.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that is.
Yes.
Yep.
I was thinking it was separate, but then I couldn't remember, but now I see that on here.
Yep. Where it belongs. Yep.
Yep.
You want to talk about rec? I think,
Yeah,
I think Sarah's here.
I was gonna say, I saw an extra person back there, so. Hello. Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you? Do I just talk? About rec? Yeah, talk about the things that you want to do.
All right. Rec, let's see. So I have the same thing. Okay. The first chunk of rec is all for the summer recreation program, which has been our sort of long time program, which is the middle school camp down at the old school. That all looks pretty similar from last year. Our big changes this year, we were really excited and proud to offer swim lessons for the first time in lots of years, and those went really well. We got some grants that we were able to offer those really affordably for everybody locally, and that line was part of the Rec Projects programs. It's now been entered into its own line, and it's not enough. That program was probably almost 10,000 total, but we got grants to cover it and are anticipating applying for some of those same grants to continue to cover it. Let's see, we're hoping, we have been growing and are hoping to grow. We've done some more events. We did a pickleball clinic last weekend. We just did an event in the park, which was really well attended. We had like 45 or 50 people there, which for events is sort of a lot.
So you had a lot of kids?
Yeah. And actually we had a real intergenerational. There was like kids and it went all the way up to the senior population. It was really neat. And the kids from the schools made the lanterns. And so that was lovely, and had fire. It was great. And we heard that people were happy and want to do more of those types of things. And we'd love to do more of those types of things too. We're hoping to work with Scott and Jessica and Marshall to do some visioning for Buzzy Town Park too, to make that more of a gathering place and have some more events there. And then we'd also like to add, Rec has been a range of weeks in its history. In the last few years, it's been 3 weeks. We'd like to add another week as well. Parent feedback has been such that they would love that. And we want to target it a little bit more specifically to be focused on the new beautiful tennis courts and do like a tennis pickleball kind of focus with some kids, as well as make use of the vault space, which we collaborate on with Wings and DVCP. It's a hangout space for teens after school at OSEC, which has also been very well attended lately. You were asked about numbers. I think they had like 17 kids in there the other day, which is great. And we'd like to use that space in the summer as well to do sort of a fiber arts trades kind of focus for kids in there who maybe aren't as interested in nets. So that's maybe big picture. And then our big shift here is probably the addition of a part-time rec coordinator. With all of this sort of growth, where rec for a long time lately was primarily that 3-week camp or that summer camp, we've expanded a bit, and we're hoping to continue to expand. And so we feel like it's gone a bit beyond just a volunteer commission kind of role and into a little bit more time intensive and labor intensive to continue to grow it. And so that's the addition of that line.
I think you covered all of it. lots of growth and lots of exciting things.
Yes.
The swimming lessons have been very well received.
Yeah, I'm glad that's been the word.
That's what you hear about initially.
Okay.
And the fact that your committee is now at 100%.
I know.
That's why we're expecting
That
big
is something.
things. Sarah, you've done very well.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
you. It's been really fun. And yeah, it's been great to collaborate and we have a good team who's really happy to be doing a lot of good things.
And,
A lot of energy.
and some lofty goals too. I keep
True.
hearing about the Sitzmark coming into focus.
Sitzmark is way lofty. We know that.
I know. Well,
there it is.
It's a great thought, and they're not wrong at all.
Yeah, who knows what can happen, right? Have to dream
Who
big.
knows? There might be another option too.
There might be
We'll see.
It's
We'll
something.
keep our mind open.
At some point, the grant machine will open up again here.
This is what, well, we just applied for a big one. Well, big, it felt big. Yeah, like 30,000 a year for the next 3 years to run some more programming.
Really?
Through the Vermont Department of Education. So we'll hear about that in early January.
I think we got everything to work out.
It was a real headache.
Gotta love grants.
Yay.
Gotta love grants.
Very grateful to folks for doing all the
This
logistics.
is not user friendly.
No, at all. Yeah, but it went in,
It went in.
which is what matters.
Oh, good.
And we've received grants through this, the same portal. I don't know if it's the
Yes.
same grant, but we have received.
Yeah, the grant we got a couple years ago for 100,000 or so, a
Yeah, it was
big
a
grant a
big
few
one.
years ago was through.
So
we're-
that, I mean, that goes in your favor. Once you receive grants and you've managed them well,
Right.
they look at you more favorably as well. So good.
Fingers crossed.
When is that? When's that due? When's that coming?
In mid-January, they will tell us, and then the programming would start in the summer. We submitted as like primarily summer expansion.
Questions? So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Way too much energy, but yeah, that's.
We need
I know,
energy.
holy
We
cow.
need
That's
people
a-
with energy.
That's pure recreation right there. Okay.
Select board contingency, it's nothing really changing there.
We
Town-
haven't seen our county court charge yet, though, have we?
No,
No.
no,
Usually
usually the
late.
county court is doing their budget around the same time we're doing this. It varies. Some years I get information about it and when it is and how much it's changed, and other years I get nothing, and this is one of those years where I've gotten nothing.
Well, it's a huge price, that's why.
I think last year we got something like literally right before you approved the budget.
Yeah,
Really?
Days
Yeah.
before.
January, yeah.
Yeah. Like just in time to approve.
yeah. I mean, it's based upon the CLA. I'm not sure if it's the traditional CLA that they're going to use or if it's going to be the new state CLA, because there's that whole thing where there's two CLAs now. And we're waiting on our CLA too. So we don't know if that's going to stay the same or go up or go down. So that comes out usually around the end of December, beginning of January as well. So the number I put in there is just a swag or a dartboard, whatever you want to call it, to hoping that it's somewhere near where it needs to be.
It's just a very large charge, I think. It's one that we never anticipate either. That's the.
Well, it
That's a
varies
lot of money.
because it's based upon our grand list and all that.
And how does the court base anything on our grand list?
Because they have to come up with some way to
Yeah.
get money from all of the different towns that are in Wyndham County.
That's your county tax.
I mean, that's what it is.
That pays for some deputies.
I mean, the same as we use our grand list to come up with our dollars. So they figure that works for them. But like I said, they play with the CLA part of it too, because they want to make sure they get as much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So town hall.
Just holding in there, isn't it? Huh?
Yeah. So
Not much for changes.
yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is the building maintenance TS, which was, like I said, that was Brandon as a part-time person here and part-time in the water. So that number is going back to zero because we've moved all of that stuff back into the transfer station. We are putting more money into the town hall capital this year. We've upped it to 75,000. Again, there's some projects for this building that really need to be done. So being that we had that surplus, it was an opportunity to put some extra money aside.
So you see $44,000 as a balance. Most of that is encumbered in some work that we're waiting for our vendor to complete. And once that's completed, most of that will be gone. So the 75,000, we have a grant that we're working on. I have run into some issues with putting out bids and receiving bidders. It has not been easy. This particular building and parts of what we're doing at Highway and Memorial Halls, portions of those bids were accepted by others and portions were ignored. So we have to go back out to bid. It's turned into more than I had anticipated, because with an RFP, you sort of hope your vendors will come and say, listen, you need to do this, but I have to do more research on it. At any rate, long story short is that the grant that we have for the MERP, which is the energy efficiency type stuff with doors, and in this building it's the HVAC system. I just don't know whether or not the grant is going to cover everything in the end. So this 75,000 is really a conservative guess of money that we might need to complete those projects. So the big thing here is air conditioning. One unit is out and one unit is probably on its last leg. We don't know when that's going to go out, but I've discovered that you can put rooftop. I thought you had to replace them with air conditioners, but currently there's carrier units on there. My understanding is, from the research that I've done, is you can actually replace them with heat pumps, which was the object of the MERP grant to begin with, is to install heat pumps. So the challenge is, of course, a crane, and getting to that area. We need vendors or bidders to actually come here, take a look at the site, measure, things of that nature, which we haven't seen right now. So hopefully when we go back out to bid in January, maybe we'll get some more bidders.
And that's the end of the regular general fund expenditure section. You'll see that the general fund part itself is 6.19% increase. And then the section after that is the capital funds, which we've kind of interspersed throughout in relationship to their departments. The capital funds is where we've got the biggest. That's increasing by 16% because of, like I said, we're trying to do a lot of these projects that have been kind of put on hold because we do have some extra funding this year. So that leaves the general fund and capital expenditures at an 8% increase. And we can move on to highway. Marshall can come back up again.
One's as big as everybody's. Come on.
You've got the most lines other than the general fund.
Okay. Nothing stayed the same.
We see that.
Very, very little. Some is trying to catch up. Some is we're falling behind, so we're trying to catch up. We added more, like parking lot line, and I put line paint next to. That's the parking lots. We don't do them every year. You can switch back and forth and do one some years. Some of them we're doing ourselves, which saves a lot of money, but when it becomes a whole parking lot, all we have is a little 3-inch roller to do it. So then we have somebody come do them. But now there's more parking lots, like the public safety building lot is gonna have to be done. It was just Buzzy Town parking lot. Now we got more parking lots. That's why something like that went up. Culverts I raised up. The new standard for culverts, it was pretty simple. A driveway culvert has to be a minimum of 15 inches. A road crossing has to be a minimum of 18 inches. Now the new standard is, if you look on a road culvert, if you look up where the water crosses the road, it's still minimum of 18, but if there's a path down through the woods where the water's coming to the road, the culvert has to be as wide as that path is. So if that makes any sense, so you may now go, instead of putting 18-inch culverts in, we may be putting a lot more 2-foot, 3-foot culverts in. To give you an idea, there's one on Lake Raponda that needs to be done in the next couple of years. I put in for a grant for it. That culvert right now is only a 3-foot culvert currently. It has overtopped. Water has come over the road during like our rain. Last couple Julys ago when we had all the rain, it didn't overtop it. But that culvert now has to be 7 foot, a 7-foot metal culvert there. That's right by the beach. If you're coming from the Route 9 end, it's just before the beach, crosses by the guardrail center. before the beach. That culvert's now gonna be pretty big. Bottom of it's all rotten out, and state says we have to do that. So that's, culverts are getting more money. Grants are getting harder and harder to get. If you believe it or not, just because there's water doesn't always mean we can get grants for it. If a road is what they say is not hydraulically connected, they won't give us a lot of these grants. But if like that culvert is hydraulically covered, connected, so we can, if it feeds into a lake, we can get grants.
And it just
for it.
means where the stormwater travels.
Yeah, it's where the storm water is going. Our gravel, for a lot of years, we haven't raised the gravel. Gravel's getting more expensive, more traffic on the roads, more rain, mud storms. Every year gravel goes away. We're starting to, when we're grading roads now, we're starting to pull a lot of big rocks up because we're getting into our base of the gravel. So that's why we raised that up a little bit, quite a bit.
How did the fluorescent yellow gravel work out?
So far it's packed really well. Places that we had where potholes used to appear fast, where we've put in that, they don't appear. It seems to pack in. This, like with the storm we went around this morning, it didn't get muddy and slimy. Some places are getting a little bit muddy and slimy. That stuff don't seem to be getting. We'll see how it's holding up in the spring, but seems to be. I mean, it is a different color. I'm sure you guys have noticed. After time, it does darken up though. But when you first put it down, it's definitely brighter. The snow removal line 297, that's the sidewalks. If anybody's not aware of that, that is what that is. We subbed that out to Saladino Property Maintenance. We've gone over every year. We go over, we raise it up, go over.
They also did our plantings
Yep.
down in Beaver Park.
Yeah, he does other stuff for us too. He treats us very fair on that stuff. We were originally going to buy the trees, but he gave us a price of putting them in for very little money. So when we did, it was easier. That's what they do a lot, is a lot of planting around solar fields. He's the one that did all the plantings for the fish people that did the dam removal. I can't remember. He did all the plantings for that wetland planting. So he works with Josh Carvajal a lot with doing wetland plantings. He did all the plantings on Route 9 when they put that box culvert in. So he knows how to plant them so they stay.
He's the contractor for the trails that is being improved. So
Really handy.
He's his guy. Some of you met yesterday at our luncheon. He's fixing the firehouse, the new firehouse roof, public safety building roof. They had a pipe break and
overhang.
Outside roof.
No, not roof.
Not the roof.
Not with it being a flat roof, everybody having issues.
So he's willing to take on that stuff. His business is expanding a lot, so he's taking on more and doing a lot more. And he's usually, we check him more than once. He's competitive, if not less, and he likes working for the town. So, and he responds good to Jessica and me both. If we have problems, if Scott sees something he don't like with the sidewalks, he's right on top of sending somebody out. If that's what we want, that's what he does. So just, crack sealing, we raised up some. One, it's getting more money. Two, last year, because of some things that went over, we didn't do any crack sealing, so we need to do. One, it's getting harder to get people to come here. So it seems to be longer. There was supposed to be some done this summer. It didn't happen. They got behind, they said. So they're asking if they can do it in the spring, which I hope so. I hope I have money left. They can do it in the spring, but we also would like to get a little bit more and preserve our blacktop we have so it can last longer. Our blacktop roads have been lasting, we hope to get 10 years without putting any money in them, and we're getting around 12 to 15 without have to re-blacktop them. So they are lasting. Our maintenance that we're doing is helping.
Or can we back up to
Sure.
line 298, the Beaver Street Wall?
290.
No, the Beaver
Yes.
Street wall. Oh,
Christine will take that one.
All right. I didn't even see it.
we were trying to figure out where to put this wall. So on Beaver Street, the sharp corner with the nice rock wall, I don't know how many of you have noticed, probably everybody, that there's a large section of it that is pushing out. We had tried to get a grant to help us figure out engineering and how to do the wall, plus possibly sidewalks on Beaver Street. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. Yeah, it was a planning grant. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. So the Beaver Street wall sidewalk is money to hopefully find an engineer who will help us figure out what we can do, how we can do it, and hopefully push that wall back so that we can actually create a sidewalk for people, because a lot of people walk on Beaver Street.
This has been Vince's goal for a long time.
He's been pushing this for years.
Yeah.
And of course, the thing is,
Taking it very narrow.
there's the old cemetery
It is.
there.
Plowing, I mean, I don't have to tell you, drive a bus around it,
Their
but
bodies.
everything, and there's people walking.
Walters-
When there's
Walters
somebody
says
walking, there's
Walters
really
says no, okay.
no
Someone's
room.
gonna get hurt. I'm surprised somebody has.
Yeah,
I always walk on the other side because there's lawn.
You can jump onto it if you have to.
Exactly.
so,
But yeah, so that's what this is just to be able to start to plan to fix that wall and hopefully also put in some sidewalk so that it makes it a little safer for everybody, maybe even so it's not quite so blind when you're coming up on it. So
Keep the bodies out of Beaver Street.
That's,
keeping bodies out of people,
Skeletons.
keeping them in the
Skeletons, I
cemetery that
guess,
the wall's
yeah.
holding up, yes.
Well, the other part of this too is if we can find the funds or, budget for it, is besides the wall and that sidewalk space, which will make it safer, is if we could extend all the way up through to the old firehouse, we probably could delineate additional parking there
Correct.
to help with the congestion in that area or additional parking during events.
Well,
So-
and it would make it a safer space too,
Yep.
because right now that can become a free-for-all area, people coming and
Or quite
going.
often does, yeah.
Yeah,
Or they just park in the middle of the road and say, oh, that's good enough.
right, exactly.
Yeah, where is the road? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
that was the idea behind that.
so
yes. Marshall can then take more lines.
there's yellow lines on that street. All right.
Rental and contracted is up
Yep, we can
304.
Yep, so line painting alone for the yellow double lines, and I know I've been asked about fog lines, but here's a reason of, it's the same price. I did some more research for you. We spent just around $11,000 in yellow line alone. The state does pay and paint some lines, they paint, if you can, so they paint all our class 2 roads, so if you, probably not everybody knows where the class 2 roads are, but they paint Haystack Road. The state pays for that in front of the town garage because that's class 2. They start at Ray Hill and go up to Man Road. Then they go to Man Road and then they do all of, Culver. They do yellow lines. This end of Ray Hill, we have to pay for. Castle Hill, we have to pay for. Sherry Hill, we're paying for. All the little roads in town, we're paying for. It costs $10,000. If we want to add white lines, I don't know exactly the mileage that is up to there, but it's the same, even though it's one line, but it's the same price to go up because they have to go up and back. So you're adding, it's quite a bit more money. Could we do it on that road? Yes, they did a lot of theirs with, they call them the fog lines. They did do a lot. If the select board would like to see more of them, it just means I gotta put more money in a budget, but
Not required, is what your original comment was, when we spoke, not required by anybody.
no, it's not required.
Yeah.
In a lot of towns, the only lines that get painted in a lot of towns are the ones the state does, and they don't worry about the rest of them. This town's been very avid. We used to help on the budget. They were alternating roads, so they actually only got done every other year, so the lines, but the paint quality's gone down a lot. So you look at a line that was painted this fall, because they always do it in October. You wait until next October and people will wonder where the lines went, because they're pretty much faded down. They used to last a lot longer because they could use different kind of paint. Now that it's all got to be environmental friendly, so.
And it might make sense if the police chief and highway superintendent talked about whether that would be safer or not, whether it made sense or not if we were looking at crashes and things along that area. I think a lot of the vehicles over there is just sliding off the road, maybe. Do you know, Chief? It's like I'm thinking of man road.
There's a lot of slide outs, but fog lines, unless you have good shoulders to this edge of those fog lines, can be counterproductive.
Okay.
Because a driver then expects that other roadway users are not in that lane of travel because it's marked. And then if you have no shoulder there for bikes, people walking, they're still within the marked lane to travel. And drivers don't expect that because they believe the road is lane for them only. So in some cases, it's better not to have those fog lines.
Can I ask a question on the same, not on the fog lines, but on the rent 304? So we rent the painter?
Well, that's so it's rental or contract. So the other thing, the rental is, sometimes we rent equipment. So that would come out of that same line. If the grant didn't cover it all, that's where that would come out. That's what some of that line
Does
is.
Dover rent and contract for their line painting as well?
They use the same, we use the same line paint.
Okay.
They spent just under $30,000 this year.
I guess my question was more leaning toward, I didn't know if it's better to capital to buy a line painter. With Dover?
Bennington did buy one. They do a whole thing it hooks onto a truck. I didn't research how much it is. I know a little one to do like the parking lots, just that thing that you walk behind, that is over $7,000 just to walk behind it.
This is all these guys do, so it always comes up, well, I shouldn't say always, mostly comes up professional looking, so.
Straight.
Yes.
Straight.
Usually,
Yeah.
Town did reach out. I don't know how Scott found it, but a town recommends a line company. So I am gonna do some more pricing when it's time next year or next summer, so that we have more. Because that's another thing, finding people that will actually come do line painting for us. It's hard. There ain't a lot of companies, only two, and one's by the state, so they only do the stuff the state wants first, and that's a lot of painting. That one company does the whole state. That whole truck goes around the whole state.
big money.
Hey, Tom,
Yes, sir.
you get that? Okay, I just want to make sure you know.
Yep.
Any other questions, anybody that I can help with? And then we can, if we want, I guess I go capital next, right?
Yeah.
On the,
Yeah, let's go to capital.
you're all set with this?
All right, the capital.
I highlighted my capital somewhere.
I would say, I think the last two pages of your packet are the highway
And
equipment
funds,
and the new bridge capital.
Oh, yeah, forgot about that. So me and Christine worked on our capital, and it looks like she come out to do the math that we could actually put a little less in the capital. And one reason we found a way to do this is instead of certain trucks have been treating us very well, we have not had a lot of breakdowns. So instead of replacing it, we're doing some kind of rehab with them. So we have another big truck that's due to be replaced in 2027. And it's been a very good truck, has not cost us a lot of money, gets used a very lot. And so instead of spending $300,000 to replace it, we're looking at a rough estimate of $90,000. And that would put a whole brand new body on the back, which includes the sander and all that stuff. It'd redo the hydraulics, and it would go through the chassis of the truck as far as redoing all the brakes, because the brakes had never been done on this truck. So they would the mechanics would redo all the brakes, similar to what we did to the last International, except not quite as extensive, because the last truck we did this to, we replaced every emission part, and we're deciding that might not be the right, might as well run them until that part of it breaks, because you don't know how long the emissions parts are going to last. They should last longer. If they find something, I've already sent this truck out and had it looked at this fall to have a PM done, safety check, and there wasn't nothing major. There's some hoses that should be replaced because they're aging, so they don't blow in the middle of the storm. The brakes definitely need to be done in this next summer, things like that. So that saves us quite a bit of money. Like I said, a new truck is over $300,000 when it comes to the big trucks. As you remembered, last November, you guys approved me to order a body and plow equipment for one of the 5500s or 600, the smaller trucks. That's the 140,000 you see. And that does not include a trade-in, but we're actually thinking with approval that we're gonna keep the truck that we're getting because we have no spares. And the problem is right now that truck that we're supposed to be replacing is under warranty still, and it is at the dealership. It's been there for we're around 2.5 weeks right now. So right now we're down a complete truck. That means we have a pickup, but we also been short of an employee. So that's fine because that gives somebody still something to run. But next week when we got full staff, if the truck is supposed to be done today. If somebody don't have a vehicle, so they're not that they can't run a piece of equipment and try to help, but you can't sand or salt the route. So that's our suggestion. Instead of buying another, adding on to the fleet would be to keep, as long as the vehicle that we're getting rid of is still in good condition, working order, that we keep it. We don't trade it in because it's cheaper than buying a new one because they're only going to give us $30,000 to $40,000 for a trade-in. And then you can see how the rest of them lay out. One of the new things the town is looking at, if everything passes, is a vent track. The vent track is that thing you see out on the sidewalks during a snowstorm, that little thing that has plow and a thing. They also make what they call a rough cut mower, so you can mow embankments. So some of these steeper banks in town that we can't mow with a lawnmower, you'd be able to mow them. And the other thing we'd be able to mow is we have to sub out right now and have somebody mow the old cap landfill. We have to have that mowed.
That has to be moved?
That has to be mowed by our permit. Says it has to be mowed.
Yeah, we do it annually. Yeah.
So we do it once.
So just do it once.
Once a year. So, but the problem is there's very few people that do it because it's so steep.
Yeah.
And that guy is getting ready to retire. It's Johnson, Dr. Johnson. That's how I know. Dennis Johnson. Yes. He's getting ready to retire, and with this mower, we would be able to do it ourselves, and we'd be able to do more of the banks closer to the transfer station itself. So that's what we're looking at to buy. We'd have the attachments with the plow and the salter on, so we can assist and help during the daytime. If we're not out plowing, or if the sidewalks need a little salt during the day, we could do it instead of paying Joe to do it. We're still not gonna be doing the sidewalks, but if we can help to cut down on the overage that we usually pay, Joe.
There's times that we get complaints and Joe can't move as quickly as we would like him on the sidewalks during the daytime mostly.
Yeah. So that would be a new piece, add-on equipment to what the town owns already. Any questions on the budget or anything you guys want to know on the capital?
Rich?
All right, we'll switch next page. So we have bridges too, just like this one out here.
We heard that.
So this is a new page that we started developing this year because Marshall has been finding bridges that need repair that are a surprise, and we're trying to limit our surprises, I think.
Trying to limit the surprises, trying to be more prepared for them. We've had a bridge capital, so the capital's not new, but when somebody asked us before what it was for, we needed the money every year. It's not that we haven't needed it, but we just didn't really have a real answer. This lays out some of the places that we found that there's already problems. Some of it we're gonna hopefully be able to get grant money for. Knowing these bridges are having problems, we can apply for them. So that's what it is. And we shouldn't call it just bridges. It's bridges, box culverts, and large culverts. Basically, it's over 6 foot.
Are they called structures?
The appropriation will come from the budget or from applications for money coming in from elsewhere?
Grants, you mean? Right now, we have it set for it's all appropriations.
From the taxes?
From the taxes,
Okay,
yes. And I believe we've been able to keep it at the same price that we've been appropriating the last couple of years.
Yeah.
The biggest expensive one is Lake Raponda by Higley Hill.
The 7-foot culvert you talked about earlier?
No, this ain't the culvert there. The culvert we talked about earlier is on this list, and I believe that, I won't guarantee it, but it's the Lake Raponda by the beach, that 30,000. That's how much that culvert, just to give you an idea, is estimated to cost, because we did apply for a grant. And I won't guarantee it, but I think we'll get that grant. I can't guarantee nothing, because maybe the state won't give us any money this year.
Is this that section right near where it drops in, where we're doing some planning around it at the beach?
No, this is before the beach.
Oh, okay.
It's by the guardrails, where the
Okay.
guardrails are.
Thank you.
So some of the smaller stuff, it's easier to get grants. The big bridges, like the Lake Raponda and Higley Hill Bridge, that's a state grant that sometimes they say we'll get grants, sometimes they're saying there's no money gonna be available. So that's why we're planning on the money. If we can get the state money, we're gonna try to apply. But there's, again, no guarantees in anything. You look at me like you.
Well, there was a hole opened up in that one this year. The one there overlooked right off of Higley Hill as you come onto Lake Raponda.
Yeah, so that's how we found this. It wasn't a hole, it was just a blacktop peeling off.
Was it? Okay.
And so the reason the blacktop peeled off is there's a rubber membrane. So the bridge is a concrete deck bridge. Then they put a piece of rubber on it, and then they put blacktop over it. The rubber that they put down is delaminating off of the concrete. It's, from what the bridge guys tell me, that it was so long ago that the rubber that they used back then wasn't very good. So I had them come look, because I was going to apply for a grant to have all the blacktop taken off. They put a new rubber membrane on it and put new blacktop on it. And the guy was all set. He said, yeah, that's an easy project to do. Well, it sounds like great. We'll do it. And he goes, but I better walk underneath that bridge. He goes, because there's always a surprise. Well, that was all it took. Underneath, you can see rebar. So a bridge deck, for you that don't all know, and I've learned a lot between this one and that one and meeting with these bridge guys. All concrete bridge decks have 2 layers of rebar. Decks are only 8 inches thick. There's a layer up top and a layer on the bottom. The hole like this one, that was through both layers, obviously. This one, you can just barely see the rebar underneath. It's gonna last a long time, but none of them say it's patchable. It needs to be replaced. So then that's why we didn't go with the route of grinding off blacktop and fixing it, because he said you're throwing money away. I've had 2 people look at that bridge now, 2 different companies, and they both said the same thing. We have a bridge, Castle Hill Bridge, that actually has been redecked once already. And it's funny, I got some different conflicts because this guy that come looked at it this time was not the same company that fixed it. What was 2017 it was fixed, you said? We looked it up.
So that sounds right. Wasn't that long ago.
So it used to be blacktop on top. That used to have the rubber membrane and blacktop on top. The new company said, get rid of the blacktop and leave the concrete showing. Well, concrete cracks, as I think everybody knows, no matter how good a job you do, concrete will crack. That's what it does. Well, now it's allowing salt water to go down through and it's rotting the concrete underneath. Right now, that's repairable. But this new company wants to put blacktop back on, which adds quite a bit of more money. So I want the original company that fixed it, who we have worked with more than once, to give their opinion and go from there on that. But
Makes sense.
we're just trying to plan is all we're working on, so that all of a sudden we don't need another bond.
Really rather not.
We're trying to not end up like Look Road.
No, we won't, and we'll never go through it.
Well, we hope not. Right, yeah. You don't know what you don't know, so you know it.
Well, you don't know what you don't know until the state gets involved. And even though we had an engineering report on that, the state had a whole different take.
Well, and then
it cost us $700,000 more with the state.
And one thing I have learned
different engineers.
in the last few years with working with Josh and the Green Road thing, if we do not have to change the abutments, we don't need to get the state involved because you're not going in the water. So you can redeck, replace. I always get his opinion. Like Green Road, I got his opinion to make sure we weren't making things worse, that the bridge will flow enough water. Like there's no issue with the Lake Raponda, Higley Hill. That bridge is up so high, I don't care how much water is going to go underneath it, so it's not a problem. But if you do not work on the abutments and do not work in the water, we do not need the state involved in it, which sometimes can save you a lot of money.
And that's what happened with the Look Road is originally there was no abutment issue and then it became abutment.
Well,
then it
so
expanded from
it
there.
behooves you to at least run it by somebody in the state office.
Right.
Because they come off that, we ran that with the Reardon Bridge too.
Right. No, and that's why I work very well with Josh. Josh has been very good because he's the state, he's the
But then he's turned over a new leaf.
Yeah, from what I understand from Scott and some people, that when his first go around here, some people had troubles. Now, me and him, I feel, have a very good working relationship, and he respects me and I respect him, so we get along good.
A lot of our work is relationships. Yeah. So, any questions for Marshall? Is everyone okay? We should bring the police chief back for police capital. I don't think we went over that.
Yeah, we missed talking about Mass Capital.
That's the only capital that's
Marshall,
outstanding.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate it. Thanks for the support.
So the bridge show,
It was pretty good. Your pun and yeah. That's what I have. That's what they have.
So police capital, we're looking at, we a couple of years ago moved the cruiser purchase out of the annual budget line and moved it into this. That allowed us to extend the life of our cruisers, Instead of purchasing one each year, we've been able to skip a couple years to offset those increasing costs of the cruisers and the upfits. Yeah. Our budgeting for this is,
Yeah, so we're increasing the capital budget a little bit on the police this year, just because of some of the things that they need and the cost of the cruisers going up. So we're going from 60 to 65,000. And then next year, we're gonna probably have to go to 70 and just,
and even that is going to require us pushing purchases back further. My initial assessment was that we should increase that to 80,000.
and we may have to do that next year for sure, but.
And also the remaining balance that's left each year, I feel like if we drop below what it costs to replace a cruiser, we'll be in a position, if we lose a cruiser, to not be able to fund a replacement. So that's also a concern I have. So, yeah.
And other technology too that we're talking about.
These are like larger technology items, like our body cameras, our in-car cameras, our servers at the office. Currently our system is unsupported, non-repairable. We buy used equipment to keep it alive, but it is a single, it's all integrated. So, you don't replace the cruiser cameras till you can replace the body cameras, and then the server has to go at the same time. They all communicate with each other and interconnect. So that's a large expense. Our portable radios are now 22 years old. We've priced out dual band portables. We just the cost is still prohibitive to us. You know, at some point we're going to have to replace these. So those are listed on there as well.
Chief, I have two questions. One, and maybe it's first one's Christine. On both you and the fire department's capital, there was a line for drone, but nothing in it. Is that purchase we're looking at, or I know it's not in the.
We have purchased a drone and
It
have
probably
one.
was previously purchased,
Okay.
yeah, so it's just staying on here as something that may need to be replaced.
Yeah.
And then
And-
now that Joe is he's the school, correct? Is
Resource.
resource, is any of his cruiser, do they pay for any of that? His cruiser?
No, they pay for Joe's time. I don't think in the grant, do we get mileage? I don't believe we do.
I don't think so.
No, it's a
just
flat
salary.
rate salary percentage on the grant. And we haven't really seen a lot of mileage incurred there. I mean, there is some, but we haven't seen a lot there.
Thank you.
Shall we go to revenues? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Biggest increase in the revenues, really, like I mentioned a couple times already, is the fact that we had a surplus, which came from the land sales, extra interest in the bank, from the bank for our sweep account, some computer support that we hadn't used, and due to the loss of police officers last year, they had extra in their salary lines. So that's the biggest driving force behind the fact that the total general fund revenues are up 44%. The highway is pretty much even with where they are. I do estimate a little bit more for their state aid, because lately it seems that every year the state aid has been going up a small percentage, which is good. Yeah, that's really all I have for revenues. That's the whole full budget.
Questions, concerns? Scott? Have any updates, or were we going to end this here?
You can end it here. Did you have time, or did you want to discuss the?
Oh, okay. The town report dedication, there was a number of names that were emailed out. I'm sorry. You said, Jessica, you said there were more. Did you send out more?
I think Scott said that.
I haven't sent out a new list, but yeah, Scott and I were talking. There were a couple of other names to add to the list, I guess.
Okay.
But I haven't emailed out a new list.
Oh, you have not?
Not yet, no.
Right. Well, since this is not one that has to be recorded, I think, whatever the choice may be, and I'm not sure, whose preference and who knows who. Why don't you email that out? And at that point there, we can do some kind of a survey of the board and just see who would like to choose one. Again, you're not obligated to choose anybody, by the way, right? Not obligated to dedicate the town report, but we have been doing it for some time. All right?
An opportunity, sir.
That's correct.
I have nothing more for you.
All right, nothing more than we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, how about a second?
Second.
We have
Thank you
motion
all
to
for
adjourn. We have motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you all. Thank you, John.
Good weekend, John.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Good weekend.
How's it looking?
Oh, you're.
It was worse an hour ago.
I gotta go now.
Yeah, I told you before, my cash cow is screaming out power, and like they text me updates all the time.
Should I start?
Oh, yeah, I get them. Yeah, I get them too, but yeah, it's
It's gonna be a long day for me.
happy holiday. Tony, you made it.
Christmas to you, son of a gun.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's at that point where the roads are frozen and,
Well, it's so warm out now. I think it's good now, but this afternoon it's gonna get really bad.
Okay.
yeah, that's why I'm taking off.
From what?
Thank you, Tony, you made it.
John
You made it.
Yep.
Went out early.